Yeah, not 3D.
Yeah, not 3D. You can use 3D to get a basis for your eyes, but this is going to be totally a Photoshop hack on top.
And like this is such a time saver, especially when you're just doing 2D illustrations. You're doing a quick concept sculpt through Photoshop, literally like 5 minutes, and then you've got really nice looking eyes.
Yeah, and the eyes can really make a difference. So these are some pictures, some speed sculpts with just this technique applied to it. The eyes look alright. They're fairly quick, but they still look kind of nice. The character has more soul in it because of it.
Yeah, it definitely and because the eyes are such an important thing of a character that just helps you to draw you in. It's like if you do it render wise, in 3D, it's so hard to get just the correct highlights and just the exact color that you want.
You can do some crazy light linking, all kinds of stuff.
Make masks just for the eyes, and it can be a nightmare.
And this, I guess, also works if you're just doing a 2D painting. So let's just get started with this. This is Bob, and Bob needs nice eyes.
Your friendly neighborhood turtle.
Yep. So this is the way it looks from 3D, and it looks alright.
It's kind of it kind of looks like he's got glass eyes right now, because there's no soul. They just look kind of dead.
Yeah.
But it's a great basis to sort of start off of.
Yeah, if you want to here, we definitely could have pushed the eyes more in 3D. But as this is a still image, there's really no point in it.
Yeah.
Because this is so much faster to do. So there are a couple of things here which is nice to get in 3D. Let's make a new layer. So a couple of things is just the overall circle. You just have a round base to start with. You have the color, the underlying color, and you have the pupil inside, and just overall shape of the eye as well. So this is a nice basis, but it's far from this, which just looks way more appealing.
Yeah, there's a lot more depth to that.
Yeah. So there are a couple of things we're going to go through here. This is very simple to do. So if we just identify this first, the overall whites of the eye here is it's been cleaned up. So it's cleaner.
It kind of looks like his face was just pushed into some mud before.
Yeah, exactly. And then there is just around the iris here, there is a dark circle here, which just helps to frame it.
Yeah, it's creates a nice contrast to the white of the eyeball.
Yeah, and one side of the eye, around half this. Let's get nice little red here to show. Around this is in shadow, and this is in highlight. This just makes it look more appealing. And then we have just some highlights here, and another highlight here, just to break it up, just to make it more visually interesting. By having some color variation. So let's just go through how to actually paint this. So it's a new layer, and we just start with a fairly default brush in Photoshop. Hold down the Alt key to sample the color, and just paint over it. We just want a clean, nice base for the iris here.
And oftentimes, you're never really going to be this up close. You might sometimes, but for most illustrations where it's a full body thing or even a bust, you can really get away with some actually kind of loose strokes.
Yeah.
It doesn't need to be perfect.
Exactly. So just painting in the blue here, just so we have a clean base, and then some blacks for the pupil. Make sure though it's not completely black. You want to avoid, as a general rule, to avoid completely black and completely white.
Yeah, and especially also that's one thing I see a lot with eyeballs, is that people assume that the eyeball is white, but they assume it's completely white.
Yeah, 100% white.
Yeah, it's more sort of, oftentimes
this.
It looks more beige.
Yeah, totally.
And dimmed down, because it picks up a lot of light from the environment as well.
Yeah. And yeah, nothing is pure white. It just makes it look really unnatural and unappealing. So at this point, we have an iris here. It's alright. It's now a constant color, and we have a defined pupil. So the next step is to just for iris at least, is to add a circle around it. You can use this. You can use the marquee tools for this, or you can just paint it in. we're just going to paint it in here. You can see we're using the color wheel in Photoshop, which I prefer. And Morten kind of hates,
but I think it's terrible.
But that's just personal preference. There's no right or wrong. It's just, for me, this works.
Yeah, and I mean it's objectively it's a nice feature that you can quickly get it up, pick a color.
Yeah.
So
but subjectively, it might not fit in workflow. But the way you access it is Alt, Shift, right mouse button, and now you can just access it here. It's really nice. If you don't see it, hold on Control, Alt, and K, and you get up the preferences, and under just General and HUD color picker, you just set it to Hue Wheel instead of Hue Strip. And this is fairly nice. You can just switch around hue all the time and change the values. So just go here, and now we just make a darker value, and just quickly paint in. Yeah, this is not gonna be perfect, but it's gonna be good enough for this example.
I think it's beautiful.
Thank you.
Some of the best work we've ever done.
That means a lot to me. Alright, so it's an alright circle. It looks fine.
Yeah, Da Vinci would be proud.
Probably would. Next step is to make one of the areas darker. The reason it's darker is because this is fairly basics. It's in shadow. The highlight hits here. So this area here, the light is going to go here and hit the eye here.
Yeah, this is all due to the way the eye works, because like the inside of the eye is actually concave, so it goes in, and if you have light from the top part will be in shadow and the bottom part will be in light.
Yeah. So basically this.
Fairly straightforward.
The light hits here, makes a little nice highlight. This part here is going to be in shadow, and this part here is going to be in light.
Yep.
So fairly basic stuff.
I mean, unless you have a light that just shines directly on the eye,
yeah.
And then in that case the entire eye will just be lit evenly.
Yeah. So the way we just do this is
that's usually never sort of like, that's always like flash photography and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's kind of creepy.
You want to be a bit careful with that. So just eye pick the color, or color pick the color, or just make a darker value and just brush it in. Ta-da! And we have one side now which is darker.
Already a lot more depth.
Yeah, exactly. Compare this to this. It still looks nicer. Already looks nicer. And then one area needs to be in light as well. It already looks brighter just because one part is in shadow. But we need to just make it brighter. And just hold down Alt Shift right mouse button, and then we can just paint it in after you've selected a brighter value. Beautiful.
Oh, beautiful. I think one of the keys to this is also like, I mean, it definitely helps to just have a basic understanding of some sort of color theory.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like advanced color theory or anything, but just the way you play around with the saturation and.
Yeah. Basically, when something gets darker, it goes darker and more saturated, and when it gets brighter, it goes brighter and less saturated. This is a general rule. So in the darks, you can just add some more saturation just to.
Yeah, just add some, for blue eyes, you could add some deeper blues.
Yeah. So far it looks better, but we need a highlight here as well. Just select pure white for this. As I said before, you want to avoid pure white in general, except for something like highlights, because a highlight here is just a light source which is being reflected, which contains a lot of energy. So it's probably going to be close to white, at least if the light is white. So just paint it in here. And the highlight, the size of a highlight can also change the appeal of the character. If you want like a really nice and cute character, you can add like a big one, or even two,
or super cute,
or three.
Really super cute.
Yeah, you go more towards like anime and stuff here.
And one really. This is just kind of like a neat trick. I mean, it does happen in nature, but it's more like an art-directed feature of sort of reflections of eyes. you cross the highlight that you get. You sort of cross it on the pupil and the iris, so it touches both.
Yeah.
This just sort of
Like
brings
here.
the eye closer. It can look creepy sometimes, actually, if it's too far removed. So, and because you're painting it, I mean, you can pretty much do whatever you want with it.
Yeah, you can even have it on a separate layer and just move it around as well. And next up is just adding some more saturation to this. This isn't necessarily realistic, but just
this kind of goes against what we actually talked about
Yeah.
in terms of color theory. But this is the great thing, because you know it.
Yeah.
You know how to like break it.
Yep. So now you can just color pick it and just add more saturation and brightness to it. Which goes, as Morten said, goes completely against what we just said.
But it actually, like, especially for eyes, it just adds some more intensity to them.
Yeah. And knowing how to paint also helps there. There's no denying that. You need basic painting skills for this. You need a Wacom probably.
I guess you could do it with a mouse.
You could. It would just be
like
hard.
I've seen people paint with trackpads. And
Yeah.
that's
pretty
impressive.
hardcore. So almost there now. And next up is just a final touch here of like a different color. You don't need this. This looks all right the way it is. I mean, compared the right eye to the left eye so far, it looks miles better.
Yeah, it's very glass
Yeah.
eye. The other one.
Yeah, because it is.
Yeah,
CG in Modo where rendered from, it is just glass. So just adding like a complementary color to this can just be nice. So just making this something like orange. And just make it more intensely orange. Can just look nice. Doesn't have to be massive, but just something to just give it some coloration and just some more depth to it.
This is also to sort of like, you can suggest a reflection with that, or it could be from your light setup. Maybe you have like a 3-point light setup with a complementary color to one side.
Yeah. Also, you can also play with like the mood of the piece as well. If something is orange, that kind of indicates that there is some more danger to it. Well, blue is maybe more serene and calm, cold. And next up, the eye is pretty much done now. So next up is this new layer, and just clean this up because it just looks really messy.
Yeah.
So same as before, just hold down the Alt key, select the color, and just clean it up. Maybe paint in some more of the highlight again, and we're almost there. Just some more cleanup. Paint in some occlusion around the eyes here, just to define a border.
Yeah, I mean, you could even have like an AO pass for this, but it's such a minor thing. So
yeah, and the good thing about keeping the eye cleanup on a different layer is that you can now just take the pupil or iris and just duplicate it. Hold down the Shift and Alt key and just drag it, and you can duplicate it, and suddenly, ta-da! We now have 2 eyes. So this is a couple of minutes of worth of painting.
Yeah,
and you can just already tell how much better it looks. It just feels more lifelike.
Yeah.
So this is something which takes you no time at all.
And I mean, you can adjust in terms of like, you can adjust the highlights, the intensity of the saturation to sort of dial up the realism.
Yeah.
Remove some of the saturation, play around, tweak the highlight to make it more realistic if you wanted to. Add more highlights, even more saturation, a bigger pupil, for a more stylized look.
Yeah. Here in saturation, Control U in Photoshop, it's just great for playing around as well. So yeah, that's it.
That's how you make appealing eyes in Photoshop.
Yep. See you around.
Yeah. See you guys.